Okay, so let's have a look at the body restoration. We can cover this rollover device here that I got the tub put on. Really nice chap came down and built it for me and put it on there, and he actually did a lot of the professional welding for me. I probably should add that there's a bucket load more welding that needs doing, but I've brought panels for these, and I can probably weld the panel in myself because that's a fairly straightforward in and out. There's some bits that I can't get panels for. There's all kinds of little bits that need doing. There's a couple of bits around the T-tops. There's a couple of bits on the screen ends. So there is a few bits that need doing. Thank you. Yeah, that was just tip of the iceberg. Here's a panel I made myself. I think that's the rear quarter. I brought myself a new radiator support panel because the old one was too bad to repair. There's some of the repair sections for the floor. They all got welded in. I did those. My friend Chris taking the dashboard out for me. And we literally stripped everything out. So there's the parking brake, the fuse box, the whole lot. Everything came out. There's Chris helping me take the last of it out. The whole lot had to come out, obviously. So here we are, stripping the tub down. You can see all the other bits and the chassis. There we go. And there's the finished tub ready to be put onto the rotisserie. More rust. And just yet more and more rust. The deeper I looked into it, the more rust I found. So I made sure I cut all the panels out big enough. That's held in with Clecos. The UK MOT says you must use seam weld, so it's all been seam welded in. There's no patches there. Here's the nice chap who built the rollover jig for me. What a nice guy. Lee from his company name will be here in a minute. There's Chris helping me sort out the chassis rails. There's Lee holding it up with one finger because it spans so beautifully. And I sold it to my mate Tony when I finished. That was some early welding which got ground off and redone in a better way. So on its side there you can see I'm getting into the rust now, bit by bit, scraping it off, repairing patches at a time, making sure everything's braced. And I brought myself one of these replica Trans-am sort of coats. Wasn't very comfortable to say the least, but yeah, it's a good laugh. The material isn't quite the same. God, look how small he is. It was quite a few years back. Yeah, these are the inner fenders for the front. They ended up going in the bin, and I had to get some new ones. There's the one of the floor pans welded in, and I had to cut one of the supports out and re-brace it myself to get in to do some of this welding. All kinds of holes got cut in this and welded. Making another panel there. That goes where your heels go. Goes in front of this piece, in fact. So yeah, there's a heel board that I had to put in. You can see all the floors missing. It's all braced. You can see the bracing I've put in there. Nothing moved. It was all square afterwards. Everything lines up fine. This I never did use. This is the rear window parcel shelf. I made that but didn't do it. There's Chris helping me scrape out some of the old undersealy stuff. That's the floorboards again where you put your feet from underneath. And there it is once it's all been welded in, seam sealed, and then coated, and you'll see in a minute coated with Por 15. I tried to make sure it would never rust again. There's another shot of the different patchwork going in there, trying to keep as much original metal as possible where is sensibly, sensible to do so. Of course, I couldn't ship an entire floor pan from the US. It was too expensive, hence why these bits. And I didn't want to replace the whole floor. That's the professional welder fixing this piece. I couldn't do that. It's just too good. There he is. That's Lee. I think it's Auto Sparks. I've got a picture of his van. There we go. Bright Sparks Welding Services. Heartily recommend him. What a great guy. Really nice guy. He actually stayed locally for a week helping me with some of these bits like that piece on the door and this piece here on the flank. I wasn't able, my welding skills weren't good enough. He did that one as well. They're all beautifully welded in. There'll not be any problem with any of those. There's Chris helping me out with something. Not quite sure what. Oh yes, painting the transmission cross member that holds the transmission in. And he's there painting in the engine's mount supports. You'll see all the bits hanging. Then started to look at the rear axle, cracked it open. It seemed okay. It doesn't whine. It seems to work. I mean, I did some basic tests on it, but I basically just filled it up with the correct oils. It's a Posi Drive one. All the brakes, they were pretty much knackered, so most of that went in the bin. And I put fast road pads in there. They make a bit less dust and it will stop it better. New reconditioned calipers because there's no point using the old ones. They were seized solid. There's the axle all built up with all the new bits. New hoses, obviously steel hoses rather than silly plastic ones. New brake lines, which were then added to the axle. And there's Matt helping me put the leaf springs on. This was a pain, they're really heavy. I kept the original leaf springs and just shot blasted them. There's a radiator core support panel in. Wheels, I'll cover those in another part. I'll probably do a miscellaneous at the end. That's the center caps for the wheels. They could be round or hexagonal at that time. We're starting to fit the car together now. There you go. You can see the guys trying to get panel gap and get everything together. This is before it was sprayed. So this is before the machine shop. So the welding's been done. We're getting everything together. There you go. Look, you can see the stages of the build and the marks where it's all been welded. We're starting to bolt everything together. So the deal with the machine shop was that I had to fit everything to prove it fitted, but they would do the panel gap. So we're back inside the axle there. That's because it's the safety track posi drive axle. See inside the garage, the engine waiting to go in. That's the fuel tank once it was finished. There's some preparation shots of the fuel tank coming up. Power steering being cleaned up. Doesn't leak, works fine. A little bit of a squeak sometimes. Needs a bit of adjustment on the power steering. That's the new brakes and stuff going on the front end. That's the underneath once it's been seam sealed and under sealed and covered in wax. And there's the petrol tank ready to be stripped. Prop shaft stripped and painted. You can see the tank stripped in that picture. There we go, tank painted. I'm well aware they weren't necessarily painted from the factory, but I want it. We're in the UK, it rains all the time. Spray bits silver there. That's the tank straps and brake shields. This is the stuff I sprayed in every cavity. I soaked it everywhere because we're in the UK, it rains all the time. I sprayed in there with cavity wax and everywhere I could find. There we go, that's the bottom covered in Pour 15, and then that's me injecting more cavity wax. I used loads of it. You can never have enough cavity wax in there to stop rust, especially in the UK. Did I mention it rains? So there's the bracing on the doors, still there. I left it there right till the end. Those are the things that hold the frame to the chassis, the chassis to the tub. I fitted new ones. I had to cut holes in the floor to get the old ones out because they were completely seized. There's the frame rails going onto the bottom. You can see those spacer things in there, the little black donuts. Anti-roll bar going on. Oh, that took ages. Driving in those bushes. I brought polyurethane ones because I didn't want to use crappy rubber. There's the wheels going to the shop blasters who actually ruined my wheels. Oh, and at this time I adopted 2 stray cats just because I needed more things to do. The dream, it will come true one day. There we go. It's getting there. The wheels are finished in this shot and you can see all the panels are on. There's a little bit of a bonnet gap there, but the deal with the machine shop was I just had to bolt it all on to prove it fits. There you go. There's all the stuff ready for the machine shop. All ready to be stripped down and ready to put on. I just had to prove it all fitted. Then they would do the machine. And they did. They did the gapping. And this is when Alan turned up from VMS to take it away to his machine shop in Bristol. There he is, loading it up on his VMS trailer. There he goes, look. And off he went with the body. And they kept that for a few months. And a nice chap called Sean spent, I don't know how long working on it. 3 months, 4 months. So that's me spraying up the front ends. That's the right colour. Take a screenshot if you need to know the RAL code. There it is. This is me visiting the machine shop. I visited 3 or 4 times. That's where the dashboard is. There's the doors. They were brand new, but the machine shop the spray shop weren't quite happy with them. So they stripped a lot of it back and made some filler, and they stripped the whole car back to bare metal because they said that was the only way they could get the kind of finish that they would do. So we visited a number of times. Me and my son drove up to Bristol from Basingstoke. I brought them some Red Bull and chocolate to keep them going. Poor old Sean, he spent so long working on it. They really did strip everything. The door inside the door shuts, everything. The whole lot got stripped back to bare metal. And then skimmed and filled. Any rust they found was cut out. There you go. You can see that there's Sean doing his job. So this is when we visited later when it was finished. So there's been a lot of time elapsed here. There's been a good few months while Sean's been working on this. That's the reflection of the finished gloss black. It's mirror finish. And it was very hard to see the car because all you could see was a reflection. It was flawless. They did an absolutely perfect job. Full credit to VMS. And it was really good value as well. This was by far the best quote I had for work done. That's the duck spoiler at the back. That's the rear lights. I covered that in paint, which they said wasn't good enough, and stripped it off and sprayed it. Here's the shaker and the inner wheel arches. They had to do a bit more work on those. That's the boot lid. That wasn't quite finished when I was there, hence why that's still in primer. And there it is, look, really shiny, looking just amazing. What a job. What a job. Worth every penny. Worth every penny of that work. Yeah, more shots inside their in their spray shop. He actually works on Trans-ams. He was building another Trans-am of his own. You might see it in the background of some of these shots. There's all the dash sprayed the correct colour. They made sure that everything was done how it should be, and that dash does look really, really good. Side panels all in. They did the panel gap beautifully, actually, to be fair to them. The only thing that didn't fit was that stupid underneath spoiler, but we'll talk about that later. So there we go. That's delivered back to me at home. There's Alan unloading it really carefully, not to scratch it. He then put it in the garage and left. And then I had the real work to do. Yeah, the panel gap they got around the doors was beautiful. Of course, I had to take them off because I had to fit things in the doors and fit lights and do all kinds of stuff. So I then did the trunk. So that's the trunk splatter paint and the top coat. You can't just paint it. It looks funny in these photos, but it actually came out properly. It came out factory original. But in these photos, it just looks a bit strange. But that is the splatter paint. And of course, you need to varnish it with the varnish stuff, or it will just wash off. Oh, I put the rear lights in and put the number plate on at this point because it made me feel good. Couldn't get the spoiler to line up. It took me ages. I worked out that you had to adjust the boot, but they now line up absolutely perfectly. And you'll probably see that in the later shots where I line them up. Boot seals in, windows in. Lots of work, so much work. The wiring starting to go in there, you can see. Door handles in, soundproofing in. You're not supposed to put it everywhere, you're just supposed to put patches of it, which is what I've done. I followed the instructions. We then put closed cell foam on top of it, which won't hold water. If it leaks from the top, it will sit on that. And that's self-adhesive, and that sort of sticks on top of the existing soundproofing. There's the rest of the wiring going in. We pegged out all the wiring on a board, and then slowly took it off the board after we repaired a lot of it. Battery tray, that had completely disintegrated. That's a brand new battery tray, obviously. Correct front terminal battery. We don't use those in the UK. I had to get that specially. You can see it's taking shape, all sprayed up, stuff going in. There's my friend Will helping me fit the dash. We had a nightmare getting the electrics of the dash in. Reading the book. Yeah, we spent a lot of time reading that book. That was a really good investment. It's the front end all built up. Already, lights in. I actually got some H4 halogen lights rather than the silly sealed beam ones, so I can replace the H4 halogens. They're much brighter. These are all the clips around the body, sprayed up, rust proofed, ready to go on. There she is. My friend James helping me fit some trim. Oh, we're pop riveting the T-tops in there. Oh, I took these everywhere to get them done. These are the trim pieces around the windscreen. I couldn't find anyone to do them for me, so I ended up doing them myself. I had to strip them down, get all the paint off, spray them. Hard work. Then I got the windscreen guy round. And the windscreen guy, really, really nice chap. He only works when he wants to. So you phone him up, and if he wants to do your job, he'll do it. And he did a really, really good job on fitting that screen. I actually smashed the front screen when I took it out. So I got him to take out the rear when I stripped it down. I got him to put it back in. What a really, really genuine guy. He was very cheap as well. It was, I don't know, 20, 30 quid. I think I paid him more because I felt sorry. He did such a good job. He just does his job because he likes it, and he only works on projects he likes.
So the bonnet is now fixed. This is now absolutely flush. It's completely perfect. This gap is obviously too big because I've not been able to sort of line it up correctly. And the front, it needs to come forward a bit, but that's, you know, those are things they're easy to adjust. And actually you can see that it's too far this way, so when it comes down it will be perfect. So it was Charles that came up with the answer, and it's a bit counterintuitive. The way the hinges open and shut is like a pair of scissors, so you need the back one right at the bottom, but the front one has to be right at the top. And if the front one is right at the top, it pushes the back down. So yeah, that is resolved, issue done, job's a good one. There's still some more panel gapping around that bonnet, but sorted.
Yeah, that was a pain. T-tops as well. I had to take the T-top frames out and put them back in because I wasn't happy with the positioning. That was a real pain. That really upset me. That was after I put the rubbers in. So the T-tops came in and out a couple of times. I had to drill out all the pop rivets and reposition them. And actually, they now fit really well. This is fitting around the windscreen, all the bits that go around there. I had to remake and respray all of this, all the wipers, the whole lot. Had to all be redone. Wing mirrors on. Okay, that's my new halogen lights. Obviously, we need to flash an orange light in the UK. Oh, transfers! What a nightmare. This was hardcore.
Well, that was a truly, truly horrible job. I've only done the back end. So the join is there, and the join is there. It's just nasty. Absolutely nasty. I think I've got it straight as I can. There's only so much measuring you can do before you just go bugger it and stick them on. So yeah, there we go. That's the back end panel complete at least.
That was hardcore. Yeah, that was the next transfer I put on. Slowly went around gaining my kind of experience as I was doing them. Pinstripes. I brought the moulded pinstripes rather than a reel of tape. The moulded ones are supposed to be easier. You can see they're moulded into a shape like that, rather than having a reel of tape. I just took my time and I did it over the space of about a week. The week before we went to Bandit Run, so I was in real pressure to get it done. This is why it was vital all this lined up, and it does all line up pretty well actually. You can see the backing papers on that one. I'm about to take that off on the shaker. There you go, the Trans-am one at the front. Just putting all those transfers on.
So not a depressing video for once. Just fitting the transfer to the T-top. This T-top I'm really pleased with actually. This one always fitted quite well. Didn't take much fettling. Bear in mind there's all been patches welded in around the roof where it was all rusty around the roof. So there was quite a lot of work to get this. This has all been out. It's all been reconditioned and resprayed and redone and put back in. And actually the line on this one was perfect. The problem was around the other side because this one fitted really badly. And this is much lower. But now if you look at it, it's a tiny bit lower, but not very much. The reason is that the two aluminium tangs that it goes into have snapped off, and the previous owner tried to repair it. When the previous owner repaired it, he made these aluminium bits and put them in with a screw, and the screws stop the T-top going in. So what I've done is I've remade the aluminium bits and I've countersunk the hole and put a pop rivet in. And by using a pop rivet, it sits a lot flatter once it's squashed. So rather than a screw head, you just have the end of the rivet. So the T-top goes in. So this end is very, very close. I mean, I don't know if I can lift that up and show, but it is very, very close. That's so close, that side. Yes, that's much better than it was. I've also fitted the front spoiler, which I was very disappointed with. This was expensive. I got it shipped from the States. It's from the company that made them for GM. And I've pinstriped that as well, but there's a gap either end. It clearly is too small. It's a good, inch too small? So I'm going to have to make up a bit to go in there to do that.
That really annoyed me.
Oh well, there we go. I also put antifreeze in, so we're not running on water anymore. I thought it was about time to switch, and filled up with antifreeze, so that was all good as well. So yeah, some slightly less depressing jobs. A lot of the jobs here are sort of ticked off now. Quite a few electrical ones left. Some of these will have to be left. But when Will comes over, I think we'll try and get the blower working. I tried to get it working, it wouldn't work. And maybe electric windows would be nice. Fag lighter would be really handy in case we need to charge it. Courtesy lights can wait. The tracker, I'd like to fit the tracker really, but I guess that's not a priority for driving it. Yeah, so we're getting there.
And there's the front end with the nose on and the badge. My car should have a gold one. Well, or gold or red, depending. Ignore these ugly temporary number plates. They were just to get the MOT with. There's the pinstriping on the back end. That was again hard. There's all so the T-tops came out one more time after this to reposition them better, to get them perfect. And there's me and James at the Bandit Run. We made it. So after all of that work, we made it to the Bandit Run UK. All the way there, all the way back, a few hundred miles. Didn't play up, didn't break down. No problems. What a result. Thanks for watching. Okay, so thanks for watching part 3. There may be a part 4. I've got to edit it together and see if I can find the miscellaneous parts and see if it's worth adding. So thanks for watching part 3. Let's see if there's a part 4.